Every year, corporations spend $100 billion on dining. Dinova is a technology company building the digital resources for small and large restaurants to harness that massive market potential. In this episode of UpTech Report, I speak with Alison Galik, the president of Dinova, who discusses the technology and marketing challenges in facilitating these mutually beneficial relationships and some of the unique opportunities involved in developing B2B technology. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Alison. I'm excited to hear more about the journey of Dinova and how are you innovating and staying current in today's world. Starting us off, what year did you start Dinova and what year did it start?
Okay, so I started with Dinova about a year and a half ago in April of 18. However, Dinova was started 10 years ago, so we're just celebrating our 10-year anniversary. It was started by a guy named Vic Macchio. And Vic's vision was to create a restaurant program for corporations, just like corporations have airline and hotel and car rental ground transportation programs. His vision was to create that same kind of program, a discount preferred vendor program for the restaurant industry for corporations.
Got it. And was it bootstrapped? Was it VC funded? How big is the team? Where are you guys based?
Yeah. So right now we are owned majority share by a company called Frontier Capital. They're a private equity firm inside of Charlotte. And Dinova is a company based in Johns Creek, Georgia, which is just about 40 minutes north of Atlanta.
Gotcha. And how big is your team now that you were in?
So our team now is 72 employees.
Nice. So
yes.
Good size of group. And now going forward, this focus, 10 years has been a long time, but the focus sounds like remained the same. Who is your target market and how are you helping them?
We really target two groups of customers. First, obviously, is the restaurant side, because we need to have a lot of restaurants in our program to create a restaurant network and marketplace for corporations to interact and send their business to. So we target restaurants primarily in the U.S. And then, of course, to make a marketplace, you need the other side of that, which is the corporations. And the corporations we target tend to spend $1 million or more on dining, business dining throughout the year. So what are kind of our sweet spot, I would say pharmas. Obviously, pharmas are spending a lot of money on dining, business dining and catering and things like that. So we have pharmas and then financial services, and we even have government agencies and universities now too on our program. But we have 430 corporations and over 20,000 restaurants in our program in the U.S.
That's quite some good numbers there. 431 different enterprises and different industries. Pharma knowing that makes sense for that. And for them using your service, being able to track their and maybe rebates, I think I saw somewhere on your site. What's your revenue source then? How do your packages and pricing work?
Yeah, so the great news for the corporations is that Dinova is free to participate in. Actually, it's more than free because you actually get paid to participate in Dinova. The more business dining you send to our 20,000 restaurants, the more rebate you will earn. What's funding that, of course, is the restaurant side. So every time we send diners into one of our Dinova restaurants, the restaurant will then process a rebate to Dinova, and then we send that off to the corporation. Dinova takes a small piece of that rebate, and the rest of it goes off to the corporation. The reason that restaurants like to participate in our program is because what we're doing is we're sending majority of Monday through Friday traffic to them, and it tends to be a higher average check because it's business dining. So it's typically teams going out or customers meetings, things like that that are happening in a business dining setting. So, obviously a higher check, and Monday through Friday traffic, when consumer traffic tends to be down, is a really nice sweet spot for restaurants.
Gotcha. And the way the rebate works for them is after the check has been paid, then they send a rebate back to you guys, which then you process and send some back to the company.
Exactly.
Gotcha. The technology behind it, you're having to manage both the database, obviously, of all these different restaurants and keep track of all the transactions. Tell me a bit more about kind of your overall structure and partnerships and technology behind it.
Yeah. So Dinova has our own database that we house and do. It's actually a matching process we do. How much spend is coming into the Dinova program being matched against the restaurants that we have. So every time a corporation spends on dining, that information is sent over to Dinova. We match it against our restaurants. We figure out what the rebate will be, and then we push that back out to the, actually both to the corporation and to the restaurant. So the restaurant wants to know, why are you charging me this rebate? Who's been in my restaurant, obviously. And then on the corporation side, they get the rebate, and they can see where they're spending, where their corporate diners are going, and how much they're being able to influence that spend to the preferred restaurants in the Dinova program.
What do you see the most value that the enterprises or the businesses enjoy? Is it the rebates, or is it the ability to track it? Obviously both, but what do they really enjoy most?
Well, I think actually it could be now a third component, which is the actual employee benefit. So we have a rebate program, obviously going back to the corporation. We also create now a preferred dining program, so you know where to send your employees, right? So the employees who are traveling our business or buying catering, they know which restaurants to go to. And then thirdly, is we have a points program, so a loyalty program, which is getting so much bigger. It's actually now expected in many areas of spend, but primarily in the travel industry, it's expected that you have a loyalty program. So whether you're a corporate admin buying catering or setting up private dinners for your employee base, or whether you're an individual traveler or salesperson on the road dining out, you can earn points every time you dine in a Dinova restaurant.
What was harder to build and continue to grow? Is it that list of businesses that are million plus spend, or is it the restaurants? Tell me a bit more about building those partnerships.
Yeah, so if Vic were here, he could tell you the story. He was able to get them both simultaneously, but started out really with just one corporation and a few restaurants that served the needs of that corporation, and that's where it started. But obviously we have 20,000 restaurants. We have a lot more restaurants than we have corporations, but as a corporation, you're going to dine in many restaurants. So the challenge, the driving force behind our sales team is primarily to acquire new restaurants that we consider business grade and will keep our corporate diners happy. So that's really where we tend to spend most of our sales effort and sales and marketing dollars.
For going forward, the vision.
Yes.
5 years, where do you see you guys?
Yeah, so, this year we are starting to consider a expansion outside the U.S. So we're looking to expand into Canada, which is pretty exciting. And so that should start in 2020. So I would imagine in 5 years, the company will be much more international, and we will have restaurants all over the globe, as well as corporations all over the globe as well. We just launched a catering portal as well. So we just started to step our feet into more technology than we've actually had previously. So now we have a catering portal launched in a few cities in the US, but we're hoping to really grow that. So I'd imagine catering would grow, and then we would get more international in both our restaurants and our corporations.
For you personally, how are you innovating? Where do you look for new insights and ideas?
Yeah, so we have, because I am part of a private equity firm that owns the company, they have anywhere at any given time 15 to 20 companies that they own within their portfolio, and they gather the executives together on an annual or more frequent basis. And we get together and we kind of share ideas and brainstorm. So I get a lot of input from the other CEOs of those companies, those portfolio companies. And, obviously I belong to Harvard Business Review studies and, Wall Street Journal, things like that.
What kind of books or audiobooks are you reading or listening to right now?
So right now, the big book that I've really dug into is a book called Traction. And have you heard, has anybody shared that before? Yeah. So it's by Gino Wickman. And especially if you're a growing business like we are, and, high growth environment, and you're still a smaller business, like we only have 72 employees, it's a great way to help people really focus on the big boulders of this strategic plan versus getting distracted with the day-to-day. So really getting your executives focused on what are the most important things.
For you, on the technology side, I know you're not necessarily one in depth in technology, but do you see anything out there currently, upcoming technology, that you're most excited about? Whether it's just applying in your own business, or just technology in general, anything you're most excited about right now?
Yeah, I would say it's really the consumerization of apps, and particularly in business travel, how many apps are out there right now for business travelers. So one of the things that we do is we will integrate with certain travel apps so that the restaurants will display as you land or you are in a certain hotel, you can see what restaurants are around you. So I think that kind of proliferation of using apps while you travel, particularly on business, is becoming much more important, ensuring that you're using the right travel suppliers, in our case restaurants, but travel suppliers in general, you're safe, people know where you are, all of that, I think is really key for business travel overall.
That's awesome. Absolutely. Alison, thank you so much for joining. Where can people go to learn more about Dinova, and what would be the first kind of steps that you'd recommend them to take?
Yeah, so obviously you can go to Dinova.com. We have on our website not only how you can sign up and a little bit more about Dinova as signing up as a corporation or a restaurant, but there's a lot of white papers on traveler satisfaction and business diners and the generational changes now that the millennials are over 50% of the workforce. So a lot of changes, interesting information that can be shared on that as well.
Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to UpTechReport.com and let us know.